Welcome to AEW 360 Live at Advertising Week, New York. I'm BJ Smith, and I have with me Mike Paul.
How are you, BJ?
Mike is the president of the Reputation Doctor LLC. Reputation
That's correct.
Doctor, yes. And you are the Reputation Doctor.
Well, thank you. That's what they call me.
Okay, so it has been an interesting few months and a very interesting week or so in this country.
Yes.
You were part of a panel not too long ago today called Red, White, and Blue. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was about?
Red, white, and blue with a question mark.
With a question mark.
Yeah, it dealt with brand America. Is it in crisis? What is the view not only of what we believe it is, but what the world sees when they look at brand USA abroad? So we're stuck, for example, on a president that some don't agree with. But when the world sees his actions and our own actions, they say, no, your entire country, not just your leader,
Sure.
is feathered with that.
You know, I think one way to look at that would be if you think about the CEO of a business. When the CEO screws up, the entire business suffers because it's seen as the full reputation of that business.
Well, one of the core messages that I had on the panel this afternoon is that I even teach my young kids that before you point a finger at somebody else, you need to really examine yourself. Ironically, which ties into core values and ethics, and that's what branding is all about, right? Building that trust. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to spend more time examining ourselves as in what happened and how do we prevent that from happening again. So I believe there was a splintering. Mm-hmm. We have women that are upset at men for not being paid equally.
Sure.
We have the rich attacking the poor and the poor attacking the rich. We have white, black, Latino, Asians not necessarily getting along, even this great mosaic we call New York City, which is almost 3/4 people of color. We're not all singing Kumbaya every day to each other.
Yeah.
We have differences. We're splintered. Any good opponent, sports, business, life, politics, will take advantage of that splintering. See that weakness, try and find the hole, come up through the middle. That's what Team Trump did to our country.
Right.
Now the question is, have we learned from that? Are we so upset that we don't even want to read the research that's associated with it? It reminds me in the post 9/11 year of 2002, after 9/11, we had many people when we were learning about Muslims, and I asked the question, well, have you ever read the Quran? No, I'm not going to read that. Well, if you actually opened it up and put your anger aside and took a couple of deep breaths, you'd realize this book is filled with love.
Yes.
But others corrupted it and hoped you wouldn't open it to say, boy, that was easy.
Mm-hmm. You know, as a matter of fact, it's funny you say that. I was a part of an event, Junior Chamber of Commerce was having a state convention in North Carolina, where I'm from. And one of the, they always have a devotional time. Every Sunday morning after the main conference is over, there is some sort of religious opportunity, I say. And this one time, there was a group of Muslims who were there to educate, right? And those of us who showed up on time were enlightened. We enjoyed hearing what they had to say. We learned things that we never knew before. And there were some people who showed up late, not necessarily a member of our party, but they showed up to see what was going on anyway. And they just start flinging insults. They start saying, well, what about this? And what about that? And we all turned around and like, if you were on time, you would understand that this is all bogus. This is fake news.
Right.
Right? So what do we do? How do we take advantage of that splintering?
Well, one of my core messages was for us to examine ourselves a little bit. We're Madison Avenue. This is Advertising Week. I am an African-American man who was on the stage with 5 other white gentlemen that are top CEOs of big firms. Mm-hmm. And I was asked a question in addition to the Trump survey and the national branding survey that also included international research as to what others think about us as a country. She threw in, well, we have a crisis happening also in the NFL right now. Athletes are starting to take a knee. What do you think about that, Mike? And I said, talk about a softball. I never thought I'd have an opportunity to take a knee on stage in the midst of a panel or a speech. but I take a knee. And my fellow panelists were shocked. The audience applauded. They were excited. Now I said, I take this knee for the inequality of not just people of color, but for women, for people of different faiths and different backgrounds and all differences. This amazing place we call Madison Avenue is the capital of capital, the capital of advertising, the capital of all of the corporations that we're working for. So in all of their names, including my children,
Right.
I'd take a knee. And I'd do it again.
I'd give you the opportunity, but you'll disappear off the camera right now.
Well,
So we don't.
I appreciate it.
You know, you didn't go up there planning to take a knee.
No.
No.
But those issues, ironically, like the issues of those voters for Trump,
Right.
were right underneath the surface of my own skin.
Right.
And when someone brought up the importance of inequality and why we have splintering and why it continues, imagine if 3/4 of the city that are people of color decided to vote every year, year in and year out, as a block and respect each other. We would have an amazing city of 9 million people taking care of each other.
Yeah.
But we don't. And others will always take advantage of that. And I think that's the most important lesson we should take from this, but also understanding that EQ, right, the emotion behind the ads, the emotion behind the narratives and the messages that we are pros at doing here, we need to bring into our own lives and our own conversations with our own families that might not live on the East Coast. You might have come from the Midwest, or you might have come from an area of the country who thinks differently than you.
Yeah.
And your parents might even be saying, oh gosh, what the heck is happening in New York now? You're so different from us. I love my president. It's okay to love your president, but it's our job to have the patience to educate and counsel and give clear examples so that you can't say that, especially those you care most about, you didn't have an opportunity to learn. You can close your mind and close your ears if you want, but I also have a responsibility to step up. And I end with saying, like Dr. Martin Luther King said, and I'll paraphrase, those sitting on the sidelines are as bad and equal to their oppressors. What are we individually doing to make America a better place, not just a better brand,
Right.
but a better place with the values and the ethics and the EQ that we all deserve?
Mike Paul, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, BJ. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We'll be back later with more of AEW 360 Live at Advertising Week New York.